All right, so let me say hello and welcome, my good friends, to another weekly edition of Stock Market Mutterings. Doug here with the LincolnList.com, and as always, I'll take my very deepest, darkest grope in the murkiness, try to find you some quality trade setups and put some money in your pocket. And this is the last Market Mutterings for 2019. 2019, man. Whew. How'd it go for you guys? Like, how'd it go? Did you do as good as you thought you were going to do? Did you do better? Where did you see yourself last year at this time? Is this where you thought you were going to be? Anyway, for some of you that are thinking about goals, thinking about improving your trading, thinking about taking that next step in the evolution of your trading career and just your personal life in general, I'm going to post a link to a happy hour that I did just a couple of days ago. I talked about some of the things that I did well last year, and to be honest with you, some things I really dropped the ball on. Some things that I kind of regret that I did last year in my trading. It was a great year. It was a six-figure year. I shouldn't complain, but I'm going to, because I really felt it could have been one of those amazing defining types of year, and I'd let a few things slip through my fingers. So, we all kind of go through that. We live, we learn, we make mistakes, and there are a few things that I did that I'd like to have back. So I talk about those in detail. So for you guys that are interested in there, there's the link. So what do we talk about this market? Where do we go? How would you explain this market? If you met some stranger on the street and they said, "Tell me about the stock market in 3 words." What 3 words would you say? I'm not going to tell you my 3 words. Anyway, crazy market for sure. Anyway, the continual melt just keeps on going, which we talked about in the last 2 market mutterings. I don't think there's any surprise there. Once the trade talks sort of hit the back burner, the Fed got out of the way for December, the volume got so low, and it's so thin, even across the board. I mean, right now, the SPY almost trades like a penny stock. The volume on these highs is so low that you're just absent of sellers. You're not getting so much buying as you're just absent of sellers. That's what it comes down to. Now, there was a little bit of movement. We have, a little bit of selling there Friday. I don't know if it's going to last or what. And maybe we see a little bit of tax selling come New Year's Eve. I don't know. But for the immediate future, I would expect this is the kind of market we're going to get. Until you start to see maybe through the month of January, I expect a little bit more volatility in January. Obviously, I don't expect us to just continue to do this every damn day. I would imagine that probably the first couple of weeks in January, after that, you'll start to see a little bit more volatility, and maybe it lasts for the quarter. I don't know what to expect. But that's the great thing about being a trader. You don't need to expect anything. You just follow your process. Things should be good, right? So I'm looking through here again, trying to find value and just trying to find what are the best names. I've been kind of focusing more on individual names, trying to trade those with value rather than just looking at the markets. I kind of backed off of some of my futures trades. Some of these I've talked about before. I mean, you've always got your app. Right now, you've got a series of bull stocks. I'm just going to give you ones that I trade. You've got Tesla, you've got Apple, you've got NVIDIA, and those are really the top 3 on my cycle. And what that means is anytime there's a pullback, any kind of get some 30 minutes of selling, 60 minutes of selling, a drop in the morning, any pullback, I buy it. I just buy it and I trade it on a bounce. That's what I've been doing for months now. And because I feel a little too high for me to feel like I'm going to invest into them long term here at these numbers. I'm just trading them. So I'm looking for any kind of pullback. And that even kind of goes with Netflix. It's been in a run up, and Roku. Although Netflix and Roku on Friday kind of changed there a little bit. But that's what I've been doing over and over again. Now, I like to put some of these new names on the list because they start to break out over different types of time frames and categories. And I try to take advantage of it. So I'm going to start out here with, I'm going to look at these ADSK. I'm going to try to open up this chart down bottom. I mean, this is pretty tight chart right here. Obviously, the only thing that sucks on this is volume. You don't necessarily have a ton of volume on this stock, but this is what they do. When I'm talking about pullbacks, this is rather than chase these run-ups. If you just wait for them to kind of fade, not every one of them fades. Like some of these take off like shop. They just fly right off the handle. I mean, there's some bounces in there. This actually might even be more of a swing trade for some of you. But, this thing's been fighting around with the 185s, 186s now for the better part of the month. If you can get through that, if there's a nice push through that, you might see this thing actually tack on a pretty solid day. We've seen that like with the likes of Lulu. I just mentioned Shop, OLED. once OLED here, which is something I wasn't talking about, but I'll bring up this OLED here to show you guys what I'm talking about. I doubt ADSK would be as strong, but here's what we're talking about. As soon as you break this daily chart range, like right here in OLED, had this multi-month consolidation. Once it kind of broke through that 205, it really got vertical here. You can see it really stretched out. So when I've mentioned this before, when you traders are out there that are learning technical analysis and you're trying to figure, hey, how do they know something's going to break out? How do they know it's going to break down? Well, you don't know. You just look at these technical analysis, they give you clues. And when you have these multi-time frame breakouts and multi-time frame breakdowns, they mean something. And this is an overused term in trading as people talk about breakouts. Well, not everything that's going through high days, they break out. It could be breaking out just for that day, but is it breaking out over long term? Are you trading a stock that's breaking out that's on an overall bearish chart? Or are you trading a breakout on a stock that's on an overall bullish chart? Are you trading a breakout on a stock that's going through all-time highs? What kind of a breakout is it? It matters. So when you're talking about these multi-time frame breakouts, where a stock is clearing a range that it's fought with for several months, and it does that on the intraday level too, that's where you start to get these big moves in stocks, and that's what you saw here in OLED. Those matter. So that's what you're kind of looking for in those scenarios. So you might see something like that with ADSK. So oftentimes, these stocks won't look like a whole lot, like they'll be just dead, no volume, and then they break that, and all of a sudden it just gets slaughtered with volume. So possibly ADSK, you have that type of a setup there. You kind of have something that looks similar, well, maybe not in OKTA. You got a pretty decent chart here in OKTA. Just kind of coming out of range here. It closed above its 20 moving average on Thursday. I kind of thought you might see that move on Friday. It didn't happen. I don't think I'd be interested in this one outside of a trade. If you're looking for an explosive move out of this outside of a scalp, 122.50s, it's got to clear 122.50s. You've got to get back above Thursday's high. It really looked like on Friday that's what it was going to do. It started out strong, and it looked like it was going to just take that out and start moving up into these next pieces of resistances of 130, but no go. Now, the difference between this and ADSK, as I just mentioned, this is not a chart that's just in this linear bullish formation. This thing's actually down a bit from its highs in September. So as you have a market at all-time high, but there's a lot of stocks that are not. OKTA is one of them. Looks like it's trying to curl out of here. Might be something to look at. And a stock that I used to love, and I just really haven't traded this much this year's WYNN. And there was years ago I used to love this stock. I used to trade it all the time, the WYNN. It looks pretty good. You got a nice little, ascending wedge here. Maybe something to take a look at. It's pretty close to the resistance here. What's actually, cluttering right around the 141 resistance. Maybe if it clears through that, you can get back to May's high. So again, when we're talking about these big moves and you're looking for strong continuation moves that can last for days upon days, it's when these things break range. Because if you're on this technical analysis thing, your theory in trading is one level to the next level. You break resistance, you go to the next resistance, to the next resistance, to the next resistance. So that would be May. And you're talking about several months, 6-7 months worth of resistances there. You can get up into that 150. Again, these ones that I have here trade much thinner than your Apples, Facebooks, Netflix, Nvidia, Amazon, much thinner. But they do have some pretty decent charts. Again, those always stay on the list, but I'm going to throw these in there this week, and maybe you get something there. And who knows what we're going to get? Who knows how the year's going to start out? Who knows what we're going to see? Be hard to think that we'd be this bullish next year. Like we're just going to ramp another 30%. I mean, the market's going to close like 30% for the year. Jesus. 30%. That's bullish. It's reminding me of like 99 and 2000. Like it's back to those kind of days. Except for back then it was like it was so fast. It just like did that every day. It was just relentless. But pretty wild market. I hope you guys did well. As always, you need my help. Visit thelincolnlist.com. Click on the Trade Room tab. Trade with us. Begin your year outright. I'm also doing a Newbie Nights course. I might have mentioned that at the beginning, or I might have posted the link for that as well. So for all you that are trying to start your year outright, you want to get the right kind of fundamentals. We're going to talk about the basics of charts, the basic of chart setups, why charts work. We're talking about scanning, get a free DVD, free access to the Trade Room. I'll post that link up real quick just in case I forgot to talk about it when I started this. But check out the happy hour as well. Anyway, I want to just wish you guys a great 2020. I want to thank each and every one of you who have been watching these market mutterings throughout 2019. The support from everyone has been great. I just lucky to be doing what it is that I'm doing, and I appreciate being part of this community, and I look forward to 2020. I cheered you, but I already drank this whiskey. It's empty. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching Market Mutterings. Look forward to 2020. Take care. Trade well.